Okay, we are back online. Sorry for the short break. I changed some settings, so I suppose that the quality should be better now. If it's not, then I'm not sure what to do. So let's start the tables again. If some of you wants to know how we are doing in our session, I'm not going to tell. It brings bad karma if you watch your winnings in the middle of a session. We all know that. So we are going to watch the outcome when we finish the session. It's just it's a normal Thursday, so the players on our previous tables, the Florida Keys and the Neat Alex, they are on pretty much all the tables, and this TY2U Taiwan guy, he's also on almost every table. So the thing is that if we want to play PLO50 now, there's going to be at least 3 regulars on every table with us. So when we sit down on the table, there's going to be 4 regulars and only 2 spots for players that give us money. So it's not as profitable to play on weekday evenings than it would be on Friday or Saturday. But I think if we keep finding, we can find some good tables. I hope. I don't know if it affects that we are streaming on. Well, it shouldn't, because we are streaming on the same Twitch. So I don't even say what I was thinking. Well, chat is better, so that's cool. Now we just open some tables, wait that we get. I didn't put myself on waiting list on the tables that have those 3 regulars already on the table. I'm going to get this spot here, because I want to have position on Florida Keys, and now I have position on Shore too. It's sort of table hopping, and I don't think it's wrong. It's funny because once I was playing poker in London at Victoria Casino, and they had this ruling that it was a 9-player table without the dealer, so each of the players had to deal on their turn. And there's a rule that if there's an open seat, anyone can take it. So at some point we had 9 players, and one of the players quit his session and stood up from the table, and instantly another player changed his seat to that player. But that made another player change his seat because he wanted to have better position. So for the next 10 minutes, people were hopping around the table trying to find a good seat, and every time there was an open seat, someone wanted to have it because they thought it was a better position. And I didn't change seats. I was sitting at my chair, and I tried to tell them that can we just play poker? It's not that important. It's the smallest stakes on the casino, and we are having fun. So it was funny, and honestly, none of them was a good player that could use even position. to his or her advantage. So it was funny that bad players fought for a position. There was one hand on table 3 that Sora opened icon and he check folded flop. And now we have Cherry Bomber on the table. He's a Finnish regular. I think he's decent regular. Definitely a winning player at PLO50 in my mind, what I have seen, but he makes some bad calls in my mind. So he calls with the sort of bad hands that can't stand the heat. But typical Finnish player doesn't like to fold. Where we had this noob guy here. I have only 3 hands on him, so I don't know if he's a fish or genius. But he's from Bulgaria. I might have an opinion on that. Now we can get the 4th table open. Let's put the waiting list on those 2 tables. Cherry Bomber isn't on any other tables. Well, he is there on one table. It's just every time when I see a Finnish player, I always think about if they are trying to do something illegal with the stream. That's why we have this delay. Here May is shoving basically this flop. We have top pair, 3 overs and flush draw, and there's no straight possibility, so I'm getting it in. And we have him somewhat crushed. He has some draws and he spikes there. The second board we had 58% on the flop, which is nice. So I'm always thinking when I see a Finnish player, especially Finnish, because formerly these coachings have been only in Finnish language, is someone watching the stream and trying to exploit me with 1 minute delay and about half a minute from the streaming system. It is possible that on the river he sees my cards on the stream. But if we make a 2 minute delay, then the interaction with the chat is going to be pretty bad. So we have decided to do it with 1 minute delay, but I can assure you, if I had a hunch that someone is exploiting the stream, I'm going to make a 2 minute delay or 1.5 minutes. I'm opening one table here. I'm keeping it on my other screen, so in case we need to change table, I can bring it on, and if there's an interesting hand, I'm going to show it. But if someone is using the stream for illegal stuff, it's quite easy to notice. I'm not going to say how, but there are ways to see it and test it if someone is using it. And the problem is that if they use it and we can prove it, their PokerStars account is frozen, so it's not something that people should do. This table 4 is not good. There's 2 regulars. One is good one is multi-table. And we have Sora, which is the target player on this table. We have Snoop, 27 VPI, and V111 VPIP 23. So when we are sitting on the table, we always have to ask, where does my money come from? And as it's PLO50, the rate is high, so to make money, we have to have an big edge over our opponent. And on this table, Shora is definitely the player that makes us money. But if there wasn't Shora, which one of the players is our target player? Now we have another green player, so we don't change the table. But it's always important to ask, where does the money come from? Let's see if Cherry Bumper 3 bets me. He didn't. I don't know if you guys have used Poker Tracker 4, but let me show you. There's a nice, I don't even remember the name. Is it the Note Caddy or what it was? But you have the tool to mark opponent, like I have marked his 3-betting range. So every time opponent 3-bets and the hand goes to showdown, the Poker Tracker 4 makes an automatic note here, and it's divided to in position and out of position, so I can see easily what kind of hand he 3-bet previously with. And here the money goes in with the king in 5-4, which is pretty bad stack off in my mind for Alex. When opponent raises, he's always drawing to 30% or so. Callan says that the stream quality is pretty weak. Is it weaker than it was before? I can't see it, so at least some members said that the chat is a lot sharper now when we had a small break. On the table that is hidden, I opened from the button and made a c-bet on try flop, and opponent raised me. I had to phone. It's funny that today there's a lot of players that raise me all the time. On here I'm going to raise this Chichimaruni. I don't think he has a strong hand often, but he's calling the flop. I'm blocking pretty much all the straight outs, and if he calls the flop, the turn with an overpair, he's going to call the river most of the time. So I'm giving up here. Yeah, he had a full house on the river. Here on the river, I think that Alex has kings a lot of times. If he bets, I think I'm going to call, because he shouldn't have an ace because he checked the flop, and he shouldn't have a 10 because he checked the turn, and he wouldn't value bet kings. He had a Queen 9 jack, and he didn't make a c-bet, which is sort of funny. So I hope you can see the hard stat. If you can't see, well, I don't know what to do. I can tell you about the stats. You can always ask me if there's a hand that you want to talk about. I think Snoop is 29 and 5, so he isn't a genius. Someone asked me if he's a genius or an idiot. He's definitely not a genius, because he has played only one hand out of 23 hands. Here I open full pot because I have a green player on the blind. I don't have to be balanced, so against recreational players, we can open full pot with our value range. Balancing is a funny thing in poker. Some people think that you always have to be balanced, but with balancing, you give away some of your edge against really bad players. Like if we have a VPIP 85 guy, he doesn't care what we represent or how balanced we are. So we can exploit him as much as possible. On table 2 we are definitely opening. Let's see what happens. Can we get some action? We can, and we hit the top pair. 3s, 42 and 9 doesn't fall, hasn't ever raised, so I am value betting my top pair and 3 overs. And on the turn, I have a huge draw. I have a 13 out of wrap, and I have the flush draw, and I have the 9, which I can make better hand against some of his hands. So I'm going to bet this turn again, because I have such a big draw that even if he raises me, I can call. And I have some folding equity against some over pairs or bottom 2 pairs. So it's the best way to bet there instead of checking and seeing the river. Because I have always said that action defines range. If I check back here on the turn, he knows I don't have a straight. I never have 7-8 if I check the turn. I don't know how much he thinks with these stats, but if he's a thinking player, it's hard for me to represent the straight on the river if the river is total blank. Yeah, 25-7. Really hard to make money. In theory, it is possible if you are very good post-flop player, but the thing is that if you are genius post-flop, why would you play with these stats? When Chichimarini doesn't bet the flop, I don't believe he has that strong hand on the turn, so I check, and he didn't have anything, but he had a set on the river. So he's very lucky. Here on table 4, no one bet the flop, so I think Cherry Bomber might bluff this very often. But he didn't, so I'm making a bet. If Cherry Bomber thinks deeply enough, if this guy folds, he might raise me because he knows I never have a full house here. Wow. The king bets the river, which is... He might do it with the kings, but I don't know if he can do it with the flush. But I'm calling this. And he has nothing. Which is always nice. If you have any questions about the hands or about PLO or about poker or about anything, feel free to use the chat. It's always nice to have something to talk about when there's nothing going on the tables. maybe at this point we can check the tables. It's always blue sky. It's just a min raise. I have to pay 50 cents to see the flop, but the problem is that with this hand I'm not going to flop nuts almost at all. The only nuts I can hit is some kind of full house with sevens or a nut flush. And did I call? Sorry, I was meant to fold. I tried to fold, but I pressed the call button. So it's just that I'm not going to hit the flop that often, and he's sort of aggressive. But now when we play the hand, I'm going to make a raise and make him fold most of his range. And we invest 350 to win 375, so if he folds half of the time, it's good for us. But when he calls, he's not folding the turn. I don't think so, so then we just give up. And the reason why I wanted to fold is that it's hard for us to make the nuts. And even if we hit the nuts, it's hard to get value. So even if we get to see the flop with only 50 cents, 1 BB, the problem is that we often hit something marginal, like top pair with weak kicker, cut shot, open ender, just a flush draw when we block one of our outs, and playing out of position with those type of hands against player who c-bets over 70% of the time and has 50% turn aggression, it's going to be hard. On the other table, a fish donked me on 4-5-6 board with just the top pair. I'll make a note on him, so if he keeps donking, I'm going to exploit him quite much. They asked, how does it feel to coach PLO in English? It's not the first time I'm doing it in English. I have done private coachings quite a lot in English, but of course now we have 20 viewers. It's a different thing, and it's going to YouTube, so anyone can see it. So I'm not going to watch it myself. It's terrible to hear or see yourself speaking English. And Arnimet asked, what are the most important differences between PLO5 and PLO50? Well, they both have 4 hole cards, and that's about it. That's the same things. In PLO5, it's just value bet, value bet, value bet. I mean, if you have almost 0% bluffing frequency, you can do a shitload of money in PLO5. It's just you shouldn't bluff. The only bluffs you should do are c-bets on the flop, because they have a great price when you c-bet half a pot. And sometimes on the river when opponent range is a lot of draws and you can make him fold. But other than that, don't bluff at PLO5. Just wait for the nuts and pot, and you get insane value for your nuts. And in PLO50, you can't wait for the nuts. The aggression goes high. And every state level, the aggression goes higher. And in PLO50, we have seen there's a lot of check raises, a lot of donking, a lot of 3-betting. And post-flop, you can't just play according to your hand strength. If you play very honestly post-flop, then a lot of opponents will see that. Here, Maruni bets full pot. I'm going to peel one card and see what happens on the turn. He has never... His flop aggression is really low. That really much looks like he's doing that for value. And against these value range, I'm sort of crushed. And now I have the second nuts. I have to... Well, he has 80%. I'm going to let him bluff. The thing is that if he has ace-king type of hand, he might pay me a value, but... He has river aggression of 80 and he had a7. Yeah, he didn't have almost anything. So I don't think if he's going to call the river bet anyway. PLO 25 and PLO 50, the difference is that in PLO 50 the 3-bet ranges are wider, and at PLO 50 regulars will also 4-bet with a lot more than aces. So the aggression goes higher again, and of course at PLO 50 you can make decent money, so there's more good regulars. So we have 2 pairs and flush draw and a cut shot. I'm getting it in here. So at PLO 50 the ratio between recreational players and regulars is worse than in PLO 25. And he has a wrap. I have him crushed, but he spikes the turn, I spike the river, and I win the pot. Too bad this Maruni didn't overplay his 2 pairs. We would have had a nice pot. I think here calling is also an option, but we have such a strong hand that I want to get the money in against weaker flush draws. Or some wraps. If the board pairs or the flush comes on the turn, this guy with the wrap is going to fold it. So I'm missing a value. And as we have just saw that Maruni donkey range is quite wide. And jump from PLO 50 to PLO 100 is another big step, because in PLO 100 some guys say that it's one of the hardest levels of PLO, because there are so many regulars at PLO 100 that can't play at PLO 200. But the recreational players that play PLO 100 often have the money to play PLO 200. Because if you have money to play a few $100s, you can easily play PLO 200. That's how recreational players think. So at PLO 100, the ratio between recreational players, bad players, and the regulars is actually worse than in PLO 200. At least that's what the PLO 200, PLO 400 players say. Yeah, there's not much. Actually, the sample size is 5 hands on river, and it's not a big sample size, but if player has bet 4 out of 5 rivers, it's more probable that he is an aggressive river player than he is passive river player. So yeah, sample size is small, but at least it's something. Here we have a overpair flush draw and a cut shot, and no one has bet the turn, so I'm Making a value bet on the turn. Sometimes the sample size is small, but it's something. It's better than zero. Even 5 hand is better than zero, and we always have to base our decisions on whatever information we have, and if that's the only information, that's what we have to use. We have a... Oh, sorry, hurt my knee. We have a short stack here and Chichi Maruni on the big blind. So I'm opening for full pot with this monster hand. Because I don't have to be balanced. I can exploit these guys as much as I want. The king donks me on this flop. I don't want to get it in with top 2, so I'm just calling here. And when he checks, I'm betting. And if he check raises me, it's going to be a really awkward spot. Because that's the line for set. But he has bluffed me with nothing, so I'm getting in. I block on the top set, so if he has a set, it's going to be a nasty spot. And he had a set of jacks, which makes sense, but as I actually block queens, jacks, and fives, and he has previously bluffed us with total air, I think he might have some draws in his range, or some like aces he's overplaying. But if I didn't have the information that he's capable of making bets with total air, I would have folded because that line really looks like a set. Yeah, well, Timaruni, his pre-flop race is 31, which is actually higher than mine, so he's not a passive player. He's not like 77 and 10 or 77 and 5. I'll make a note on how he played his set and flush draw. So I know that when he checks the turn, he definitely has a set in his range. Yeah, most of the mobile or tablet players are usually bad. At least they don't have a HUD. So even if they are a good player, they are probably just playing for fun. Because I don't see that any regular plays his A game when he's playing with the mobile. Here we have in aces. We are over 100 BPs deep with GG, so I'm just going to flat call this. But if I 3-bet, he's going to put me on aces and he can play pretty perfect against me. Now we can raise to 16, which leaves 45. It's enough in my mind when this guy comes along. We get an SPR of 1. But GG fold, which is great for us, and the opponent destroying dead on the turn. About the hand that Armets is talking against Chichimaruni, where I had the second nuts on the river. The thing is that the way the hand played, it's hard for my opponent to have a wide range that calls me on the river. Because he shouldn't have that many smaller full houses. He probably hasn't weak ace, which he did on the river. And I don't think he's often calling me with the weak ace. But the board paired on the turn, and I have played it passively. My hand might look like it's a draw. So he can definitely bluff or even value bet his ace if I check the river. Or if he has a draw himself, he might bluff me. So I think by check calling we had more value. Here we have two opponents and we almost totally missed the flop. So I'm not going to c-bet against Snoop, which is sort of fishy, and we have Cherry Bomber that doesn't like to fold. So you can win all the pots. Against this Cherry Bomber, let's say I had the nuts there. One option is to check the flop as it's a rainbow. Because this guy loves to bluff when given the opportunity to. Here we flop total air against the king that doesn't fold, and this flop is, it's hard to miss this flop, and when you're this type of player that wants to have an excuse to call, it's hard to miss the flop. It's like always you have an at least overpair, one pair, cut shot or something, so I'm not even c-betting this flop against this guy, folds only 33% of the time. He can definitely find a reason to call this flop if I c-bet, but if he checks behind, I might spike something on the turn, which now I have. And I'm just checking to see if he gives me the odds to draw. And he didn't, so I'm check calling the river as I hit the king. Yeah, he had an open ender on the flop, so I couldn't have made him fold no matter what I did. I'm going to give a green color for Chichimaruni. VPIP76 is someone I definitely want to have on my tables. On the other table I have one VPIP70 guy. We are 150 BPs deep, and this hand, pretty much the only way I can hit the nuts is if the flop is all small cards. But I often hit the small flush draw, middle or bottom set, bottom end of a straight, so I'm giving up. When I have a call happy player, I want to play with the range that can hit strong hits and nuts on the flop. It's funny that this guy bet sizing varies a lot. I'm not sure if it's a tell. It might be that he's just betting whatever feels good. Often these recreational players are feeling players. They do things because they feel to. If we had played this jack-jack here on the table, I would have called the flop and probably folded the turn, because we blocked one of our own outs. I don't know what color to give Snoop. I don't give him any color. Chichimaroni folds 45%, so I'm making really small c-bet. And if he has total air, he's going to fold it. And if he calls, it's not the end of the world. We have a backdoor flush draw and a bottom cut shot. I don't know if I have a color for Snoops. I have all kind of colors, but not for these guys. Maybe a knit is suitable. I missed the flop completely. TY2U is aggressive player. I think he's going to attack this flop often. I have a lot of backdoor stuff, so I'm checking back this flop. And we spike a 13 out of wrap on the turn. So unless TU raises, it's an easy call. And then we just fold. Bottom left we had 8876. He's deep. We were out of position, that's why. Or are we talking about different hand? If we are talking about this hand, we are out of position. In position I would call. The problem is that out of position you can't pot control. And I don't want to hit the second nut, or let's say I flop a flush. I have to play it passively. He might be bluffing. Suddenly it's a big pot and I have a weak hand. I would much rather play in position where I can pot control. And it's an idea that we have small pot hands and we have a big pot hands. And those small flushes, they are small pot hands. So when we flop small pot hand, we want to keep the pot small. And out of position, we can't pot control. So that's why I like to play those hands in position. Clock is coming to 1.5 hours, but as we started a bit late and we had some issues with the stuff, I say we'll go on for around 15 minutes or so. I have no idea how our session have been, but we have nice stack on 2 tables. We lost 1 buy-in and some might be close to break even. At least we haven't had a doom swing yet. Kuba asked, what did you fold at table 3? Well, that's a tough one to answer. I have folded all kind of king, queen, jack. Let's see what we have. Yes. Because I think there was a 3-bet. And this hand sucks out of position in 3-bet pots. Yeah, there's an open and Alex, which is a tight player, 3-bets. Of course, we know that Alex 3-bets in position, all kind of trashy hands, but the thing is that this hand doesn't flop really hard that often. If it flops a straight, there's an ace on the boards. If he has aces, our value isn't that great. And if you flop an overpair, we know his range is wide. So if the flop is like 9 deuce deuce, we have no idea if we are ahead or behind. We have to fold, check fold so many flops. So If it was a race board, I would call or even 3-bet myself rather than just cold call 3-bet with pocket pairs. The king 3-bets me. Aces, aces, ace, king, all high cards, and I have low cards. It's a great spot I can call, and if the flop comes all small cards, I can often stack him off, because I think he's overplaying aces pretty badly. And he's checking. I don't think he's folding aces at this point, at least to a 1-bet, so I'm just checking back and giving up on the pot. Here we've turned the nuts, so making a big c-bet. Hope the opponent has like 10-8. And backdoor flush comes, which sucks if he bets. When he checks, it's an easy check back. And he had, on the flop, he had a cut shot. On the turn, he has, again, just a cut shot. Double cut shot. Wow. Pretty fishy. Calling almost pot size bet on the turn with double cut shot on flush draw board is bad. He has only 6 out to make a straight and only 3 outs to the nuts. And as I had the kings, he had only 1 out to split the pot. So he was drawing almost dead on the turn. Triple aces. The best thing that can happen is we get it in with this blue sky. T open from under the gun. I'm going to call and see if I can turn the hand to a bluff catcher, and 1 out of 16 times I will flop the top set, so I'm not completely dead. Like this. Poker is so easy. Let's hope this TY, whatever, bets this flop, because it's an ace high. He couldn't have ace, so I should have donked, actually, because no one can have an ace. I forgot it because I have 3 aces in my hand. I had the nuts on the turn, so oh, he had a wow. On the other hand, Chichimaruni had a straight and a flush draw on the turn, and he didn't raise it. Wow. Pretty passive player. I thought I was value betting him, but I was drawing the 7 outs. Or some more. I had 2 pairs to make a full house. I think TY has kings a lot of times. Or straight draw. And as his calling range is relatively weak in here, I don't want to bet big. Because I definitely have aces, jacks, full houses in my range. So I'm making a small bet and hope he calls me with king, queen or pocket kings. Because he can't have anything strong. I think he has kings. Here we can see that he has folded only 33% of the time on blind versus blind. So I'm not raising with trashy hands. and try to steal his blinds. It's if we open 2.5 from the small blind, we are investing like $1. Yes, we are investing $1 to win 75 cents. So we get a nice price for our steal. So the opponent has to fold at least 50% of the time, because when he calls we might hit our hand, but if we only try to steal his blinds, he has to fold around 60% of the time on his blind. So if the opponent's here is the BB versus small blind open folds, that if it's 60 or higher, I'm opening any 4 cards on blind versus blind. But the lower it gets, the less I open with trashy hands. Of course, the sample size is very small, but these type of players don't like to fold. On the other hand, on PLO Zoom, I have a player that is decent regular, but his fold stat on big blind is around 85%. So he calls with only a strong range, like top 15%. And it's a huge lead. I have stealed so many blinds on him that I don't even know. I'd love to 3-bet if this was a regular, because then his range is really, really top heavy, but it's Cyprus, so he might have anything. So I give up. Now we hope that Cici 3-bets, which he hasn't really done. He has 3-bet a lot of hands, because then we can get it in against 2 shorties. But now I think on the flop we make a C-bet, and if we get called, we'll see what happens. And if someone raises, we just fold. On this deuce, it's a really good card. We have a lot of folding equity against his draws, because the board paired. And if he calls with his draws, he has to check back them on the river, because the board is paired. We have a top pair and not cut shot. And we have 2 pairs. We are definitely way ahead, way behind here. So I'm checking back the turn. And I hit the nuts on the river, which is nice. And make a small raise. Hope he has the flush. And which he did. He had 8 high flush, which he bet called the river, which is terrible play in my mind, but he doesn't want to fold the flush. I'll make a note that he bet calls the river with the 8 high flush. So next time on the same spot, I know he's calling with the weak flushes. I can value bet him more. I can even make a pot size bet or close to it, because he's going to call me anyway. Okay, we are almost in the last orbit. If anyone has any questions, now it's time to ask them. Otherwise you have to use the forums or wait for a week. if you can speak Finnish, you can ask them tomorrow, as it's our Finnish PLO night. I have no idea how has it sound when I speak English. I hope you have understood at least something. It would be nice if you could give a feedback on the forum thread, so I know what to do better next time or what works. And definitely we can get some action on the English side of the forum. If you have a tricky PLO hands that you want opinions on, feel free to post them on the forums. No, I'm not running like a god. It's running 1 out of 18 times. But yeah, the ace was nice. And we actually got some value for it, which is nice, because the problem is that no one can have an ace. So when the flop is ace jack 6-6, it's hard for anyone to have almost anything as the flop went checked. Yeah, Tsitsimaru only had 4 spades, so he thought I have to be bluffing. I don't think he even understands that if he has 4 spades, it's unlikely that I have spades. The mind of a fish, or let's say mind of a recreational player, is pretty funny. I actually worked and still work as a poker dealer at the local bars in a free rolls, and I did that for 2 or 3 years. So I have talked a lot about poker with recreational players, and the way they see poker is really funny. And I think if you ever want to be a good poker player, it would be a nice thing to do that you go to these free rolls and talk with the people about poker. And especially if you are going to local casinos on the smaller stage, the tables are full of those recreational players. And the way they think is so different than what I think in poker. It's just their thoughts about equities and odds and what is a good hand and so on is so weird. There's one guy that they was all in with ace-5 unsuited, offsuit, and pocket kings. And the other one said, one of the players said that, oh, the kings won, how lucky he got. And I asked him that if you can choose which hand you would take on an all-in, would you take those kings or ace-5? And the guy instantly said that ace-5, of course, because ace is higher than king. So that's how people think. They honestly think that ace-5 is crushing pocket kings. And then when I tell them that actually it's not, that your ace-5 has only like 30% equity, it wins only 1 out of 3 times, they are saying that, wow, you know a lot about poker. So if I were playing at casinos, I would definitely try to get into the head of a recreational player, because that's pure money. I'm going to actually close the tables. We have a spot on the outside table. We have a double paired hand, which against sort of aggressive guy I'm 3-betting, because so often I'm going to flop a pair or good hand. Now I have ace blocker. I'm going to make a half a pot c-bet, because he's going to fold a lot of his hands, because the board is monotone. Like he has pocket queens, he's folding. So we want to pot there. Yay. It's really hard to adjust to bad poker players. Poker is perhaps the only sport, if it can be called sport, that good players say that I couldn't beat him because he was so bad. I have never heard tennis players say that, yeah, I lost Wimbledon final because the opponent was so bad. But in poker, people say that I can't win them because they are playing so badly. And the truth is that if you can adjust to your opponents, you are the bad player. Poker is all about playing your opponent and adjusting. And if you can't do that, you shouldn't blame your opponents. It's your own fault. On table 1 we have classic min raise. I don't know what his range is, but I think whatever his range is, this min raise can't be that good unless it's a set of kings with the ace queen of spades. No, the guy with ace 5, it wasn't trolling. I know these players for many years. It's just the way they see poker. There are so many stories that I have just rolled my eyes that you can't be serious, but that's how they think about poker. They have so weird thoughts and opinions. It's like I had a long discussion with one guy because he just refused to believe that it matters what hands you play pre-flop. He honestly thought that it doesn't matter if you had ace queen or 5-7 in your hand, because they both can hit the flop as often. So what's the difference? Why would you play only some of the hands, because you never know what the flop is? And yeah, it's true, ace queen hits the flop as often as 5-7, or 5-7 might even hit more often. But the thing is that he didn't understand that ace queen hits better hand more often on the flop. And we had a long discussion about it, and eventually I gave up. I said that I can't take it anymore. Last hand against Brazilian Soldier, I was waiting to see if he 3-bets me. On this flop, I have an overpair and a flush draw, and he's shorty, so I'm getting it in. Overpair and flush draw is flipping against 2 pairs, and he might have a worse hand. So our night is almost over. We have only the last hands, so let's see those couple of hands, and then I'm opening the poker tracker. We can see if we made any money in the first ever English PLO night, or did we give up some money. It's always nicer to win in poker, but like these are short sessions, it's around, I don't know, 400 hands. So anything can happen in 400 hands. We have seen that in our coachings in both ways. It would be nice to have the last hand because we are 200 pp's deep with 2 players. So let's have ace jack 10 double suited and pre-flop all in, and someone can suck out. It did happen to me on the earlier this week. I had an ace king double suited, and I got a 4 or 5 way all in with 200 pp stacks, which is pretty much the best thing that can happen in PLO. And the guy with the worst hand won the pot. It happens so often. But that's why most of the recreational players love PLO, because you can shove like this queen deuce 4-5 diamonds pre-flop, and if it's a 4-way all in, even the trashy hands have like 20% or 25%. And you hit flop so often with something that recreational players love PLO because you get more action than in Hold'em, and you hit more often than in Hold'em. You can get the spots where your tension goes up because you are wondering if you hit the turn or not. You can land more action and adrenaline rush in PLO, which is a great thing for us PLO players. because the ratio of bad players is going up and up. I really hope that in the future there will be televised poker, especially in the United States, that someday they open the markets to US and there's high stakes pokers again on TV and poker after dark, and they start to show PLO. Because I think there's a lot of players that would love PLO if they would knew that there is such a game. So that was it. And then I remember that I promised to mark some interesting hands to post them on the forums. But the thing happened that has happened in the Finnish poker innings every time. I totally forgot it. So I don't have any marked hands. Sorry. PLO50 high, and we didn't win. We lost $10. And we run slightly above EV. This is the hand where we lost against the set. Without that one, we would have been around here. So, might have been a bad call. Who knows? We shouldn't be results oriented, so we lost $10. It's not much. We have a nice bankroll for the next week. So, thank you all. It was nice to see that there were so many viewers, and we have had actually some foreigners watching this. I hope on next week we will have a lot more. So, thank you all, and let's continue on the forums. Remember to post on the thread for this coaching that what do you want to do with your shares. So we will know for the next week what to do. So see you next week. Bye bye.